Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And in this video, I'm continuing or finishing my list of top 10 favorite movies, TV shows, and music that I listened to in the last year. Of course, we're a new year now, 2022, so just kind of recapping the last year, what I watched and listened to, and what I liked a lot, and things just that I guess to show what I would recommend if you haven't seen it yet. I did 10 through 6 already, so now I'm going to start with 5 to 1. So at number 5 is a Disney Plus show from Pixar called Monsters at Work. It follows the characters from Monsters Incorporated, after Monsters Incorporated, basically, with the former company president, of course, doing illegal activities, gets ousted by the government or whatever agency. And so now Mike and or Sully and Mike Wazowski have to take over the company basically and try to bring it back. Instead of scaring kids this time, they're making kids laugh because laughter brings more energy for the city. And so they're trying to figure out how to transition to that. The main character really though is a new character that just graduates from Monsters University as a scarer. He comes to the company, but they don't scare anymore, so he doesn't really have a place in the company like he used to because he doesn't know how to make kids laugh yet. And so he has to work with a maintenance crew, and then he's trying to get to the laugh floor to be one of the people that go in and make kids laugh. So that's his ultimate goal. And so you kind of see him try to get there, and he makes friends with people on the maintenance crew. And anyway, so you get to see that aspect. Also, Sully and Mike are trying to run the company, and all the hardships of that. Anyways, but just like Monsters Incorporated, a very funny show. I love the monster world, the world building, and it's kind of like everything's opposite of the human world, so they play on that. Very funny. Anyways, and so a lot of good meta humor in there. I thought, yeah, just a really clever, funny show. I really recommend. I love at the end of each episode, Mike Wazowski's character does like a comedy. He does a comedy class because I guess he thinks himself is the best comedy laugher, whatever that makes kids laugh. So he does a class on like basically jokes 101, and they're absolutely hilarious to close the show. It's just a brilliant way to do it. And I love that they got John Goodman, Billy Crystal to do their characters. Great characters. Yeah, definitely a really good show to check out on Disney Plus. Number 4 is another Disney Plus show, Marvel one called What If. Very interesting concept. It's an animated series where we get to see different alternate universes where things don't happen the same way as it does in the movies, the MCU movies. And so we say, what if this happens? How would that change the events and all that? Anyway, so it's a very interesting concept to see different scenarios play out. And some are better than others. There's some that I didn't care about, but there's some really good episodes that I thought, wow, this is just as good as what happened in MCU movies. Like the very first show, which is Agent Carter becomes Captain Carter and Steve Rogers doesn't come Captain America. I mean, great show, great episode to begin the show. The animation is just really good. There's a lot of good humor in there, along with the action scenes are really well done. And it's a very unique animation. It's not your normal animation, I should say, but a very unique animation style. But the action is so good, and it's very funny at times, and just a very interesting concepts to explore. And it seemed like a show where each episode doesn't really connect because they kind of go through different alternative universes. But there's one guy called the Watcher who narrates every episode like he's this guy that can see all the multiverses and kind of goes through what happens in each universe. But then I love in the last 2 episodes they actually bring all the all the characters, all the episodes together, the characters, and the Watcher actually becomes a big part of the last 2 episodes. A spoiler for that, but anyways, but I love how they bring everything together because I wasn't expecting that. So at the end, I love the last 2 episodes. It was just very, very creative use of the MCU and bringing all these different scenarios and these characters together to fight this really ultimate big bad. Just extremely well done and creative show. What If? I think it's one of the best things Marvel has actually done on Disney Plus. Number 3 is an album. I only have 2 albums on here. First one I talked about, John Mayer, Sob Rock. This one is Ed Sheeran's, did an album called Equal. It's just an equal sign, so I guess I'll just call it Equal. All of his albums are, yeah, what do you call this? Plus, divide, equal, times, I'm guessing. It's a very unique way of naming his albums. But this just came out this last year. It's another one where I don't pay attention to a lot of music that comes out, but on Spotify, it kind of notified me that Ed Sheeran had a new album out, so I thought, I'll check it out. It doesn't seem like he's done an album in a while. Anyways, I don't know if this is big on the radio. I don't listen to radio. That's why I used to know what were big songs. So I just listened to Spotify, and man, it was such a great album. That's why I have it number 3. It's one of my favorite of his, and I think Plus and Divide are really good albums from him. And this is, I think, only his 4th album that he's come out with. Obviously, he's won tons of Grammys, and he's had a lot of success. And I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan. I think he's a great songwriter, great vocals, and I like his acoustic guitar work is really great. All works together. One of my favorite artists today. And this is definitely up there as one of his best albums. And since I'm a fan, I'd say this is one of my favorite albums that I've listened to in a long time. Because, like I said, I don't listen to a lot of current music, and when I do, it's usually terrible. So I enjoy when something like this comes out, and it comes really great. The very first song, "Tides," opens the album. A really great opener, very catchy, upbeat tune. And then "First Times" is one of his best songs. Great songwriting, and I just love that song. It's up there. It's one of his best works anyway. So I think if you like him, definitely check out his album "Equal." Number 2 is my favorite Disney Plus. I watched like pretty much all the Disney Plus shows that came out, and my favorite was Hawkeye, which just came out. I think in December, or whatever, November, December, right during the Christmas time. And Hawkeye is one of those characters that people seem to love to criticize. Like, he's not that cool of a character. He just knows how to. He just uses a bow and arrow, and he's really good at that. But he's just a human being, and he doesn't have powers like others. I don't know, but I've always liked Hawkeye. I thought it was an interesting character, and they've used him very well. And Jeremy Renner's done a very good job with it. Anyway, so I thought it was great to get a show for him. Everybody's getting their own movies. He doesn't get a movie, but he gets a TV show at least. And it turns out to be, I think, the best one they've done. The action is very well done. I love Haley Steinfeld is so great in the show. Kind of as a co-lead as Kate Bishop, I believe her name is. She comes kind of Hawkeye kind of mentors her. She has kind of the same abilities of shooting a bow and arrow. Very good marksman, and their dynamic is very good. Anyways, and she's just absolutely hilarious in the role. Just a great character. Love everything that happens there. And the very last episode was really great. I love how they brought in characters from other shows, and they had a lot of great action scenes that were like I said, a lot of humor in there. There's a really great character reveal that happens that really kind of blows your mind, that I loved. And I just love how it ended. And yeah, it's just one of the best complete shows where from beginning to end, each episode was really well done. And so yeah, if you haven't watched any of them, I highly recommend Hawkeye. Is my favorite. WandaVision has gotten the most awards, but I know Hawkeye was more consistent throughout, I think, as a show. So my number 1 thing that I watched is not a TV show or a movie or music. Is a stand-up special by a stand-up comedian named Nate Bargatze. And he did a stand-up special on Netflix called The Greatest Average American. And I never heard of Nate Bargatze. I didn't know anything about stand-up specials. I just happened across it one time, and I love listening to stand-up. I love a good stand-up special. And I'm always willing to listen to new stand-ups to see if there's somebody else out there that's really funny. Anyways, and so this was one of the great discoveries I've ever had, where I was like, I'll try this out, and absolutely hilarious stand special. One of the funniest stand specials I've ever listened to, and like, wow, who's this guy? He's absolutely hilarious. Well, he has another stand special called The Tennessee Kid on Netflix. He has 2 on Spotify, Magic Time and Getting Yelled by a Clown, I believe. I watched both specials and listened to the other 2 on Spotify. All 4 specials are absolutely hilarious. He has a podcast called Nate Land, which I've been listening to ever since I watched the special. It's one of my favorite podcasts. Very funny podcast. Just a very funny individual. He's a clean comic, which I personally love clean comics. They're my favorite kind of comedians. The clean that don't use don't use curse words or are real dirty. Anyway, so I love that. He's a clean comic, and he just kind of tells stories about his life as a comedian. He's been at it for a little while now. I never heard of him, but he kind of talks about his marriage, talks about, he has a daughter that he's raising, talking about that. He talks about traveling, doing stand-up, talks about his family. Anyway, so there's just really funny stories, and he just does such a great job of pulling out the comedy in his life. Anyways, but yeah, just a great storyteller, it seems like, and just absolutely hilarious. One of the best things, and I guess I put this number one because not only is one of my favorite comedy specials, now Nate Bargatze is probably one of my favorite comedians, and I've just now discovered him, and I've been searching, looking at all his previous stuff, and it just never disappoints. So I mean, I don't know, it depends if you like stand-up, I guess. I know some people don't like stand-up, like I know my parents would not care because they don't like stand-up, but I don't know, if you have any like in stand-up, I'd say you got to watch The Greatest Average American on Netflix. I think it's definitely worth watching, and it's during COVID, of course, so he has jokes about COVID, and the whole thing's done outside, kind of COVID thing, and it brings some hilarious things there. And anyways, yeah, so I can't say enough about Nate Bargatze. In fact, this special got nominated for Critics' Choice or for Golden Globe, or for a Grammy or something like that. I know it's gotten some award nominations, so really good for Nate Bargatze anyway. So definitely check anything out that he has done, in my personal opinion. Anyway, so that's my number one, and my top 10 favorite things I watched or listened to. And so hopefully check some of those out if you haven't, or tell me if you've seen them and what was your favorite shows or movies of last year. Love to hear it. Just thank you for watching this video and liking it, and thank you to all my subscribers for the encouraging me and for this making this happen, and just really appreciate you all. Have a good day.